Shake, Archie.
Hey, welcome to my humble abode. So, some people have been asking, should they wait to buy a new Tesla Model Y? The price of the Model Y, it has already dropped a lot, but is this going to drop further? Well, I'm about to share some useful insight. To see where prices might be going, it's really valuable to look at the past trends. So here's a price history chart of the Tesla Model Y that I put together. The biggest drop happened at the start of last year. Tesla cut the price of its long-range Model Y by 20%, and that was equal to a $12,000 cut in a single day. And that's when I put in this order for a new Tesla Model Y. A quick side note, my Model Y, it has been great. I've driven it close to 32,000 miles and no maintenance costs so far. Well, technically, I have spent about $5 for windshield wiper fluid. Feel free to ask me any questions about buying or owning a Tesla. And also, I'd really appreciate it if you just tap that like button, because that helps me as a small creator. Okay, it's easy to predict that there's not going to be that big of a price cut again. That was partially to qualify for the $7,500 tax credits. And since the start of last year, the price, it did bump up a little bit from where I bought it at. But since it has come back down, the Model Y today, it's a few $1,000s below what I bought it at. And that's great for new buyers. Although I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more price cuts. They're likely not going to be big, but maybe a few $1,000s. So here are 3 reasons why. For the first reason, the Fed, it's keeping higher interest rates for longer. Many investors going into the new year, I guess it's well into the new year, they expected to see a few slight cuts by the end of the year. However, we might not see any now. This is really putting pressure on consumers, and the Fed is really trying to fight inflation. As a result, average auto loan payments for new cars, they remain high. We're seeing similar pressure with mortgage loans or new mortgages in the housing industry as well. Overall, the higher rates are lowering demand for new cars. And Tesla, it's far from exempt from this trend. It's no longer a small automaker. Tesla is, well, definitely leading the EV space, but in many ways it's beating a lot of traditional autos as well. The Model Y has become the best-selling car in the world. Now, for the second reason we might see lower prices, production has ramped up. Tesla, it's well past its early production days. The build quality of the Model Y has improved as well. If you buy a new Tesla Model Y today, you're far from an early adopter. If anything, maybe I'm an early adopter because I'm in South Dakota and there aren't even showrooms in South Dakota. It's not nearly as common here. But most parts of the US, you'll see a lot of Teslas on the road. As long as you aren't unlucky and get a lemon when buying a Tesla, it should be reliable. There are already millions of Teslas on the road, and the number of parts and service providers, they continue to grow as well. For the third reason, Tesla is one of the few, if not only, profitable EV manufacturers. Tesla can lower the Model Y prices and still remain profitable. Investors, of course, they don't like to see lower profit margins, but the lower prices can lead to more sales overall. And on top of that, it can lead to accessory sales and add-on software sales. Selling cars at a lower price, it'd be better than just letting new cars pile up in storage. That's assuming that supply outpaces demand. Now, those are the 3 big reasons we might see Tesla prices come down. That's for both the Tesla Model Y and the Model 3. However, it's far from guaranteed. So, should you wait to buy a Tesla? For the short answer, probably not. Instead, your more specific situation and finances should really determine that. For a good rule of thumb, if you can't come up with the cash to buy it in full without borrowing, you probably shouldn't be buying a new car to start with. On average, it's better to buy a used car, and then that's going to put you in a better position down the road. For another big buyer consideration, Tesla, it continues to make updates to both the hardware and the software. Luckily, us existing owners, we get over-the-air software updates. This car has gotten better while I've owned it. However, of course, I don't have any of the new hardware. If you want to wait for new hardware, that's really up to you, but that's always the case when it comes to smartphones, cars, and new technologies. They're moving quite fast. There's also no guaranteed timeline for the hardware updates. Tesla has different factories and is releasing some of this hardware at different times. For a good rule of thumb on the software side, never buy a product with promises of software updates. If you're not happy with its current functionality, don't buy it. The promised software updates, they might not come through, or maybe they'll be delayed for years or longer. Full self-driving? I wouldn't buy that. I don't subscribe to it because it's still a long way. It's still a ways from being truly full self-driving. You still have to monitor it, so it really doesn't free up your time. In one of my most watched videos, I predicted that used car prices would crash. That was just before the pandemic. However, I was wrong. What I did not predict was the government or governments around the world stepping in and handing out stimmy checks left and right. More dealerships, they started to see, strangely, $1,200 down payments. With that in mind, anything can happen, but based on the Tesla Model Y price history, as you see with that chart that I put together, I'll link to it in the description below. But pairing this with kind of the current economic trends, higher interest rates, unemployment trends, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more price cuts. What do you think is going to happen? Are you waiting to buy a Tesla Model Y? Are you on the edge? Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and also, once again, I'd really appreciate it if you just tap that like button, and you can check out and learn more from these videos. I'm just a small creator, and any comments or feedback really helps. I hope to see you again soon.